Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and affiliates across Ghana, including Dreams FM in Bolgatanga, Sky FM in Sunyang, and A1 Radio also in Bolgatanga. You can download the My Joy Online app from Play Store and App Store to listen live wherever you are in the world. In this edition, MP for Amenfi West demands answers from IGP over alleged raid of 2 Chinese casinos at Asankrigwa in the Western region by national security operatives.
Who sent the team to the items that were taken from the people? Where are they? And thirdly, why did they attack the residents in the community?
Security sources, meanwhile, say this was an operation to arrest 6 Chinese nationals allegedly engaged in drug peddling and money laundering. Alleged military brutality in Damongo in the Savannah region leaves 1 in critical condition and 17 others, including a soldier, injured.
Oh, they really attacked the guys, beat them up. The only thing that they were trying to escape their friend in the hands of the military men. Why should a normal person?
We have more as a regional task force prepares to enforce ban on felling of rosewood from today. And as Parliament prepares to vet Charles Edubuahin tomorrow for his appointed role as Minister of State, Member of Parliament's Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo is urging the House to reject his nomination.
So I am calling on my colleagues, first on the appointment committee and the plenary, if they so recommend to us, to reject Charles Edubuahin in entirety because he is a very big danger to the finances of our country.
We have details of that also in sports.
Black Meteors head coach Parkwesi Fabian left in limbo as clubs withdraw players from the international friendly coming up against Japan.
And later in the bulletin, did dancehall star Shatawale lead a gang to assault a supervisor at a road construction site at Adringano?
I didn't ask anybody to go beat anybody. I said we should go and stop the work so I can be the contractor. And when this matter happened, I'm listening to the guy on the phone that my boss named me. This matter happened when we told them to stop work. We went back to the office within 10 minutes. The boss about the office said they me talk.
We have that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. Please stay for details. And this is your home of bold, credible and fearless journalism. This afternoon, MP for Amenfi West, Eric Afful, is demanding answers from the Inspector General of Police over an alleged raid of 2 Chinese casinos at Asankrigwa in the Western region. He insists the operation, which saw plainclothes gun-wielding men in face masks, stormed the casinos and seized various items, including dollar and cedi bills, and has left residents traumatized. A video recording of part of the operation has since gone viral on social media. Here's a summary of what is captured in that video.
A Toyota V8 arrives at a compound. 2 men descend from the driver and front passenger side. Another from the right passenger side, alight, wielding an AK-47. He is wearing a hooded sweater with a face mask, making it impossible for him to be identified. He opens the car boot, and a man in what looks like a police uniform appears from the left side of the car. Another person in mask jumps from the boot. The one wielding the AK-47 points the gun towards the ground and holds it firmly. He takes a few steps away from the car and turns to face the main building. In another footage, a man in white shirt walks along a path within an enclosed space. He is followed closely by the uniformed bow-legged man who eyewitnesses say is DSP Samuel Kojo Azugu, commander of the SWAT unit at the National Security Secretariat. An item in his possession drops to the floor and he pauses to pick it up and continues to walk. Outside the building, the AK-47 wielding man with his hand firmly on the trigger takes cautious steps to stand in front of the car. At this stage, there is commentary on the unfolding situation by unidentified persons.
This is what I was talking about. William Murphy with Max. It's very, very serious.
Another footage shows a smoke-wearing man enter an open workspace. He is carrying an AK-47 in his right hand and uses his left to point to the ground as if handing out instructions. He is followed closely by the masked, hooded, sweater-wearing man. A third person carrying a pistol in his right hand enters at this stage. He moves to the back of a table. It is alleged he went to turn off the CCTV power source, an allegation repeated by the Member of Parliament for the area, Eric Affo.
Some of the shops were having CCTV cameras. They were disconnected before they started the open. You see, there's no search warrant from them. So who sent them?
The men are alleged to have seized money and other items aside from damaging a safe.
Attacked a lot of shops, intimidated a lot of residents in the community, and took away about 3 million Ghana cedis and quantity of gold.
So that's the MP for Amenfi West, Erica for there, ending what's actually captured in that video read to you by Gifty Andropia, the head of our security desk. Well, the MP has also condemned the raid, insisting the local police should have been informed of that exercise.
The circumstances around the operation is what I'm against the most. The reason is, we all know that if you want to do such operation, at least the district commander of the Ghana Police Service, including the divisional commander, they are in the community. The Mr. Chief Executive, who is the head of the security within the area, is also within the community. None of them were consulted. We have a lot of tools that we can use. One, I'm the member of parliament. Bringing the minister in charge, the minister for national security, or the interior ministry, to come and answer questions for me.
That's the MP for Amenfi West, Erica Affo. Now, a journalist with Pen TV alleges he was assaulted when he visited the scene of the operation. He's been sharing his story.
One of the facilities is very close to my studio, and I approached them and asked them of their mission after introducing myself as a news reporter. They snubbed me, so I left the scene. One of them spotted me making a call near my studio. 3 of the men rushed on me and beat me miscellaneously with slap and boot of the gun, put me on the ground and pour some dirty water by the roadside on me. Seriously, I was so disturbed.
That's a journalist with Pen TV there narrating his ordeal. Now, national security sources have been offering some explanation. Head of our security desk, Gifty Andropia, joins me in the studio. Gifty, what do we know about this operation?
Well, the information we're getting from national security sources is that this is a swoop conducted by the national security operatives on May 7, 2021, and it was done in 2 locations in Asakregwa, specifically the area behind the Petrosol fuel station and a casino/restaurant within the Jindi Hotel on the Asakregwa Enchi Road. And then in this operation, they made arrest of 6 Chinese nationals who, according to our sources within national security, were involved in money laundering, drug peddling, and the operation of an illegal gold refinery in the Asakregwa township. The information also indicates that the Kimping, or who they are describing as a Kimping, an owner of the hotel who is currently at large, was apparently in Kumasi brokering a gold deal when the arrests were made. His wife, named here as Shui Lian Lua, who claims to be the accountant at the hotel and casino, was, however, arrested, and she is apparently helping with investigations.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gifty Andropia, head of our security desk. To the Savannah region now, where an alleged military assault on some civilians in Delmongo in the West Gonja municipality has left 1 person in critical condition and 17 others, including a military officer with minor injuries. The incident comes as the Savannah region RegSec prepares to enforce the ban on felling rosewood, which comes into effect from today. Eyewitness tell Joy News the incident started from the bush, where some 17 boys who had been hired to load logs and rosewood ahead of the deadline for the ban on rosewood logging were working. Here's one of them who's been speaking with correspondent Isaac Nonya.
Oh, they really attacked the guys, beat them up. They beat them up.
You were there. We told the guy also beat one of the military officers.
No, they did not. Even a mad person will not attack a military man. The only thing that they were trying to escape their friend in the hands of the military men. Why should a normal person attack a military man? They are here to maintain peace, and they are here because of us. We should not attack them. We are only to escape our friends from their hands.
Is it true that they went after the guy who was injured? They went to the hospital looking for him?
Yes, they went to the hospitals and the nearby clinics to check. They know he's injured, and they might send him for treatment, so they have to rush in and get him arrested.
So that's one of the victims there speaking with correspondent Isaac Nonya. We'll go live to the region shortly for details, but I'll bring you back to Accra. We head to Parliament, and as the House prepares to vet Charles Edubuahin tomorrow, that's the Appointments Committee, for his appointed role as Minister of State, Member of Parliament Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo, is urging the House to reject his nomination. He says Mr. Edubuahin's private firm, Black Stars Advisory, Data Bank, and other advisory firms have made 856 million Ghana cedis in fees on Ghana's loans since 2017. Now, he says the conflict of interest makes him unfit for the role.
Parliament has the power not to approve Charles Edubuahin. I hold the view that Charles Edubuahin, by this conduct, has demonstrated lack of capacity and fiduciary responsibility to lead the finance of our country. Let me tell you, as we speak to you, we know Ken is not well, and we wish him well, but he's not well. Tactically, Charles Edubuahin have been upgraded to the position of a Minister of State for a reason, to provide the needed backstopping to the Finance Minister. And therefore, we are actually looking at somebody who could become the de facto Finance Minister of the state. And this is how he has started. So now when he becomes a Minister of State and Ken relinquishes his responsibilities to this man, can you now tell the next move and how we are going to suffer it? So I am calling on my colleagues, first on the appointment committee and the plenary, if they so recommend to us, to reject Charles Edubuahin in entirety, because he is a very big danger to the finances of our country by this very conduct.
Well, that's a member of the Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo, there. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us on the phone. So, Joseph, you've been interacting with Mr. Adongo. How far is he willing to go with his concern?
Mr. Adongo says this is something that he's taking all the way even to the international community and drawing the attention of the IMF, the World Bank, as far as these concerns he has with Mr. Edubuahin are concerned. He says he's been interacting with his own colleagues on both the Appointment Committee and here in Parliament, and drawing the attention to this claimed conflict of interest that he's been speaking of. And he's written a long document detailing the specifics that he's making available to all parliamentarians and his colleagues on the minority side. And he's hoping that he'll be able to convince them to even marshal the support of the majority side so that eventually they'll be able to push against Mr. Charles Edubuahin and his appointment.
Okay, well, there's one other key issue of public concern, the issue about the president's use of a private jet. We know that the North Tongue MP, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, had filed a question in that regard. What's the update on it?
From what we gather, that question is yet to get to the floor and even get the minister in to come respond to. This morning, the Minister for Health has been responding to a series of questions on the floor of Parliament with regards to the establishment of various hospitals, after which we're also expecting two other ministers to respond to questions. But the issue having to do with the jet is something that's not been tabled in order for the minister to come respond to any time today.
Well, speaking of the health minister, we know that the health committee had also held them before them to answer questions, especially about the Biomedical Staff Association and its strike. What's the status of that as well?
That meeting is at 1 p.m. The chairman of the health committee, Dr. Ayue Friye, as well as the ranking member, Mr. Minta Kando, have indicated that they would be ready to then mediate the issues and interrogate the issues, and that they're expecting the various parties to show up, and the expectation is that by the end of the day, there should possibly be a solution. So we're waiting for that meeting to start at 1 p.m.
Good to hear from you. That's Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, parliamentary correspondent. We'll stay a while longer there in Parliament because the minority has accused the Akufo-Addo administration of collapsing the country's oil sector. Ranking member on the Energy and Mines Committee, John Jinapo, attributes the collapse to what he describes as underhand dealing and high-level opacity in the sector. This follows the decision of ExxonMobil to relinquish its 80% stake in the Deepwater Cape 3-point oil block. In an interview with Joy News, the Yape Kusalgo MP alleged that other major oil companies, including Aka Energy, will equally abrogate their petroleum agreement they have with this government. Listen.
Well, it's a huge setback because the country is poised, according to the Minister of Finance, to produce about 600,000 barrels of oil. And in the budget statement, the minister hints that on several other factors, including key amongst them being this ExxonMobil agreement. In fact, they were supposed to spend some monies to explore and eventually begin production. And so their decision to exit certainly sends a wrong signal. ExxonMobil is one of the big oil companies in the world. And so if they leave your country, it certainly doesn't send a very good signal. But we did caution government when they adopted this route that we should open up, it should be competitive, let us get the best deal so that the nation would benefit. But that fell on deaf ears. You do recall that the minority protested, but the MPP government used their majority side to railroad through with the agreement. Today, this is where we are. They have decided that they would not continue with that agreement. So we are back to square one. We have to start all over again.
That's a Yape Kusago MP John Jinapo. Now, the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists have expressed disappointment at the position of the Health Care Facilities Regulatory Agency on the leadership of medical laboratories in Ghana. They say HEFRA is introducing new positions in lab leadership which are not recognized by the law. This comes after HEFRA, in a letter to the Ghana Medical Association, said basic laboratories across the country are to be headed by a licensed medical laboratory technician, whereas primary, secondary and tertiary labs, on the other hand, are to be headed by either a laboratory physician or a licensed biomedical scientist. We've been speaking to the president of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, Dr. Abudu Orakimani.
The law does not fit anywhere. The law does not mention anywhere laboratory physicians. In the law, laboratory physicians were not mentioned anywhere. So we are at a shock. How come HIFRA is now indicating and inserting laboratory physician into an act of parliament? We don't want to push this. Certainly, when we want to take this, people like it is seen as if we are always fighting a system. But you can see that there's a clear agenda, because in the HIFRA Act, nothing was mentioned of laboratory physician. Nothing was mentioned of a primary, secondary, and a tertiary laboratory. Laboratory is laboratory. Okay, that was what was mentioned. There was no division of laboratory in the Act. The registrar has really surprised us, because he is a gentleman that we know. We have interacted with him, and we know that he's a very fine gentleman. But to allow himself to be forced to write such a report is highly unfortunate. But all the same, we will not act. We will act based on advice from our lawyers.
Now, he says the strike will end soon, since the court have ordered his association to go back to work.
We are law-abiding profession, and as such, I know my regional chairman and my regional chapters are working very strongly to ensure that the court orders are obeyed or respected.
So when will we see your members back as post?
That is something we can speak to later in the day. For now, our attention is meeting Parliament and then presenting our issues to Parliament. And whatever the outcome is, certainly we'll make it available to the public.
That's the president of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, Dr. Abudu Rahmani. They're speaking to my colleague Daniel Datsi on Joy News Desk. Now, President Akufo-Addo says emerging challenge where media freedom is attacked is condemnable and has no place in any democratic dispensation. According to him, though he is the most vilified in the Ghanaian media space, he's unapologetic about the repeal of the criminal libel law and the passage of the right to information. Opening a conference of African Journalist Leaders Conference, President Akufo-Addo also added criticism of journalistic work cannot be described as an attack of the media.
The repeal of the criminal libel law has had a very positive impact on the development of the Ghanaian media, freeing it from unnecessary self-censorship and promoting a robust and critical media culture. In the process, it has contributed to the growth of a vibrant media that has won Ghana the reputation of having one of the most media-friendly and liberal climates on the continent. It has also contributed significantly to the deepening of democracy in our country, enhancing public accountability as a strategic goal of public policy. Even as one of the public figures most persistently vilified in sections of the Ghanaian media, who ironically was the principal actor in the repeal of the law, I continue to insist that its repeal was necessary in the public interest in our emerging democracy. I maintain that I prefer a boisterous, even reckless media to a supine one.
Meanwhile, Dean of the School for Information and Communication Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Audrey Gajapo, is unconvinced that there is a growing culture of silence in the country. According to her, the fear may be perceived rather than real. On PM Express last night, Professor Gajapo says events in the country does not support the fear that there is a culture of silence.
How can it be a culture of silence? In other words, here we are on a show like yours, debating and arguing about a culture of silence based on what government has done, what government has not done, what a critic has said, what a critic has not said. It cannot be a culture of silence. I, on the other hand, think that indeed there are cultures of silences in which a lot of Ghanaians are complicit, including the media. Certain things that the media will not talk about, and it's not just politics. You see, we live in a democracy, and so we should have spaces and opportunities to debate uncomfortable questions.
That's Professor Audrey Gajapo. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. MP for Amenfi West is demanding answers from IGP over alleged raid of 2 Chinese casinos at Asankwegwa in the Western region. Still to come, we have sport, and then later, did dance hall star Shatawale lead a gang to assault a supervisor at a road construction site at Adringano?
I didn't ask anybody to go and beat anybody. I said we should go and stop the work so I can be the contractor. And when this matter happened, I'm listening to the guy on the phone. That my boss named me. This matter happened when we told them to stop work. We went back to the office within 10 minutes. The boss about the office said they me talk.
This bulletin is live in the Volta region on Jubilee Radio Keta, Volta Premier and Kekali Radio in Ho, Lolonyo FM in Hohoi, Pando FM in Pando, Fafa Radio in Joje, Radio Hogba in Angloga, Klenam Radio Bato, Victory FM Aflao. In the Eastern region, we're on K Poly Radio in Kofrodia. In the Northern region, we're on Bishara Radio, Radio 123 and Radio Justice in Tamale. And in Savannah region, we're on Inkelege FM in Bole. In the Upper East region, we're live on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bogatanga and Radio Fumbese in Fumbese. In Upper West, we're live on Radio Sonmale in Wa, Radio Freed in Nandom, Radio Wa in Wa, and Bolu FM in Bolu. In the Bono East region, we're on Gaskia FM in Techiman. In Bono region, we're on Sky FM and Parrots FM in Sunyai. Central region, we're live on ATL FM in Cape Coast. And in the Western region, we're on Radio Max in Takrady.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Let's do sports. Hans Mensando.
Well, if you ever wanted an indication that we've got a title race in the Ghana Premier League, it comes in the form of clubs withdrawing their players from the national under-23 camp. It's left Black Meteors coach Parkwesi Fabian unhappy and unsure as to which players will make the final squad for the upcoming friendly against Japan. Hearts of Folk, Asante Kotoko, Great Olympics and Karela have all recalled their players from the camp of the team as the league enters its final stage.
You know, there are some foreign-based boys who have just arrived. But Usman Bukari called me that he has arrived. Frank Asinki has arrived. One boy, Amwabi from Italy, he came on his passport. So they are all arrived, and I believe that when they are in, so far we have about 6 or 7 of them. They are foreign-based players, so they will add up to the. Unfortunately, I can't play any other friendly match because, as you can see, as players are asking for their players to come and play for them, we have players from the Chima 11 Wonders. They are all the players here are going back. In fact, after this match, maybe tomorrow morning, most of them will leave Brekum, Chelsea, and so forth and so forth. So I don't think I can play any other match until maybe we'll travel.
Well, it tells you that Heartful, Karela, Asante Kotoko, and Great Olympics are taking that title race very seriously in the Ghana Premier League. That's your sport.
Thank you very much, Hans Mensando. Now, a member of the Pan-African Parliament who is with the governing South African ANC party, Pemi Majodina, says she will open a criminal case against a colleague MP after being kicked allegedly by Senegalese Jibril War, who is also a member of the Continental Legislative Body. In an open brawl in the South African-based House, members kicked each other in a free-for-all fight after the members were engaged in a disagreement over rotation of the presidency of the House. The Pan-African Parliament, also known as the African Parliament, is the legislative body of the African Union. Pemi Majodina says some MPs have apologized for their actions towards her.
Mr. Jibiri, Mr. Roger, and 3 more other MPs, they came to me. I was with Honorable Malema and Honorable Majola. Mr. Jibiri came to me to say he really wanted to apologize. It was not his intention to kick at me. He was trying to kick at a Zimbabwe man, not me. But I was caught up in a crossfire as I was trying to separate them. So he was really apologetic and very sorry to say he does not, even in his own country. When I told him that this is a very serious case of gender-based violence in South Africa, you don't beat a woman. So he has apologized.
Meanwhile, South African politician Julius Malema, who is a member of parliament and the president and commander-in-chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters, a South African political party, who was at the center of the brawl, explained his involvement.
A member of parliament from Mali has been misbehaving. He moved from his side to our side, started fighting with a Zimbabwean lady. From there he came to me. Every time people disagree with Mali's position on rotation, he bangs tables and he doesn't stop. So when I asked him to keep quiet so that we can listen, he started being aggressive and threatened to kill me. And I said, I won't do it here. I won't kill you here inside. I will kill you outside. So stop threatening to kill me inside parliament. So it was a reaction. When a person says to me, I will kill you, I can't give him roses. I told him I will kill you.
That's Julius Malema, South African politician. Now, 2 former champions of Love FM High School debate are being kicked out of the 3rd edition, which opened in Kumasi. The 2019 champion, St. Jerome Senior High School, was beaten by Ifiakobi Sewa SHS, whilst winners of the maiden edition, T.I. Amas, were whipped by Adventist Girls SHS. Love FM's Erastus Saridonko was there. Here's his report.
The motion was topical. Media ethics breaches are to blame for the compromise of press freedom, not the government. Speakers for T.I. Amas and Adventist Girls Senior High Schools were articulate for and against the motion.
The media practitioners should be blamed for the compromise of their freedom. It's the way some of them sometimes incite the public to revolt against authority. It is unprofessional and unethical.
The chair, fellow students, the government should be blamed for the compromise of press freedom, since government officials are notorious for threatening media personnel.
Adventist Girls had a sum total of 215, which is up to 71.6%. T.I. Amas had 204, totaling 68%. They're winners.
The second contest for the day saw defending champions St. Jerome Senior High School fall to Efiakobi Senior High School. For the motion, the double-track system has more negatives than positives.
The double-track system has led to the emergence of inconsistent and unstable academic calendar, making our education look ridiculous.
That's the Love FM High School debate. That report put together by Erastus Saridonko. From one competition to the other, they had very high expectations ahead of their contest on day 2 of the Eastern Regional National Science and Maths Quiz Qualification Contest. As 2019 winners of the World Robotics Competition held in the United States of America, they were convinced no school will be a hurdle to their dream of qualifying for the main NSMQ in October. But Suhum Preseg dashed their hopes by beating them with 2 points. Here are the girls from McGee's confident of victory ahead of the contest.
Maggie's girls. Okay, so we are actually not anxious because we have done it before internationally, and we are here to take this one too. Of course,
internationally you've done it, and this one is what, local.
I hope you've heard of robotics, and this is just science and maths quiz. Oh please, expect the best. And yes, we are taking it. We are here to show them something. You understand?
Oh no, but it didn't end well for them. And that's for National Science and Maths Quiz. Mapitso Sibidi, your favorite girl, is here with Showbiz.
MFN Showbiz dancehall musician Shatta Wale has allegedly led a gang to assault a supervisor at a road construction site at Ajingano in Accra for not extending the road to his office. So now, according to the engineer, Kennedy Aqua, he said that they were working when Shatta Wale drove past the roadblock sign and came through where they were working despite the fact that they had just laid the asphalt and asked who was in charge. He went close to them to tell them he was in charge, and before he could explain anything, one of the guys that was with Shatta Wale just slapped him, and while Shatta Wale was looking on. Here is Shatta's response.
So on Monday, which was yesterday, I was going to my office. I saw them block the main road to my house. I got down from my car and asked, who is in charge here? But why have they blocked the road and still they're putting quota on the same quota road? And this thing, we have been seeing it from contractors. The road that has been tarred already, people are putting another quota on it. So when I was talking, and I was like, young boy, Ghana contractors, they are moving here, Juma. To them, to the workers, Andy. They say, forget her, make you work. No, Bonnie, forget her. And I'm like, oh, hey, my guy, they make me forget too. Why? Why? If you say, we all know the Ghana. Okay, fine, if you don't know me, they make them forget me. My boys went, and they told everybody to stop work. If some of them will be someone, and maybe Yako push you, I didn't ask anybody to go and beat anybody. I said we should go and stop the work so I can be the contract. When this matter happened, I'm listening to the guy on the phone, that my boss name me. This matter happened when we told them to stop work. We went back to the office within 10 minutes. The boss about the office said, that is the contractor of the whole project. So we went there, Andy. When we went to the place, this contractor took me so they can come and do my road. That was how this thing ended. There was policemen there. If I did anything wrong, I should be arrested. Nobody's above the law in Ghana.
A king of the movement, and we can't wait for his State of the Nation address tomorrow at 8 p.m.
The things we support in this country. Thank you very much. Mafitso Sibidi, myjoyonline.com. The stories you're reading, government not shielding Ahmed Swali's murderers. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. 2 persons feared dead in a road accident at Achimota, and the judge who kept his wife as his inmate and threw her food across the floor. Most of you are still reading that story. That's it on myjoyonline.com, and that's it for the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Emefa Apau. Living Word with Pastor Mensel Tibble is up next. Listen to Wisdom, episode 7.